Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, Don. So great to be with you.
Oh, indeed. Also, great to be with you.
We welcome this final Shabbat of 2020. There's an old story that on Friday evening, as families prepare for Shabbat, that two angels, a good angel and an evil angel, travel from house to house to inspect a family's preparation for Shabbat. And if they see a home and a family that is ready for Shabbat, then the good angel says, may it be so again next week. But if they see a home and a family that is not ready for Shabbat, then the evil angel says, may it be so again next week. So on this final Shabbat of the year, let's welcome our Shabbat angels as we join together in the words of Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Melech, Malchi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Oachem L'Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech, Malchi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech, Malchi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidkechem L'Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech, Malchi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We welcome Shabbat with Shabbat light, with the lighting of our Shabbat candles, with Kiddush, with the sanctification of Shabbat, and with Motzi.
Let's join together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. And now we raise our Kiddush cups. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר יציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
And now we take our challahs in our hands and we join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Patei avon, everyone. Shabbat shalom. We continue with our service with one of my favorite pieces of Kabbalat Shabbat, with the acrostic poem Lachadodi, composed by the poet Shlomo Halevi Alkabetz in Sfat, in the mystical village of Sfat in the north of Israel. And it's an acrostic poem, as many of us know, that actually the first letter of each stanza spells out Alkabetz's name. And so we'll join together as we welcome Shabbat with the words of Lachadodi.
Lechadodi לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לחדודי לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לחדודי לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לחדודי לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה. שהמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ודברת ולתהילה. לך אדוני לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך אדוני לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך אדוני לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך אדוני לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורק קומי, אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך אדוני, לך אדוני לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך אדוני לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום התרב עלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך אדוני, לך אדוני לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
I was exchanging emails with a temple member earlier this week who was reflecting to me what it's like to watch our services every week. And she said to me, Rabbi, as ridiculous as it sounds, I sit in my living room on Friday nights and on Shabbat mornings. And when you or any of the rabbis say, stand up for the Baruch Hu, I stand up. And when you tell me to stand up for the Amidah, I stand up there in my living room all by myself. And there's something comforting about that. And I think there's something comforting about the familiarity of Shabbat, of our service experience for so many of us. So we come now to the Baruch Hu, and if you're so inclined, we'll rise and we'll join together.
Baruch Hu et Adonai We continue with the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Vaed. We all join together now in chanting V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'vetecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shochpecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha ובישעריך, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני, אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני, אדוני אלוהיכם.
Herbert Bronstein wrote that Egypt is symbolic of any bondage, of any slavery. And in singing the words of the Mi Chamocha, we sing our present experience of redemption as well as the historic redemption of our ancestors from Egypt in the past. Every day, said the rabbis, we are sold into slavery. And every day we are delivered. And every day we experience the miraculous, as real as we did at the sea.
מלכותך רעות בניך, והיה מפני משה ומרים, מלכותך רעות בניך, והיה מפני משה ומרים, כיפת אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
The famous founder of cultural Zionism, Achad Ha'am, the essayist, perhaps his most famous phrase is that more than the Jewish people has kept Shabbat, Shabbat has kept the Jewish people. And I think that those words have meant something very different to me and maybe to many of us who are together tonight on this Zoom this year, as Shabbat has become for so many of us, even though we're not physically together, an anchoring point in our week and an anchoring point in this sea of uncertainty in which we are all living. And so we join together in these words of Vishamru as we celebrate Shabbat.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורתם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים, את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השני שבת, 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 וביום השביעי שבת, שבת, שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We rise now, join together in the Amidah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
We continue with the remainder of our Amidah silently, either with the words on the pages of the prayer book or the words of our hearts.
רצון ימרפי רצון ימרפי והיום ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי וגואלי May the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable before you. O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Oseh shalom Yirumah Uyaseh shalom aleinu Ve'al kol Yisrael Ve'imru
We take a moment amidst our joy and our celebration on this Shabbat to think of loved ones and family members, members of our community who are in need of healing, in need of wholeness. And in just a moment, we'll offer a Mishaberach, a prayer of healing for them. So if you're thinking of someone in your family, in your community, in your life tonight who could use a bit of wholeness, a bit of healing, call their name to mind now. Hold them in your heart now, as together we recite these healing words of the Mishaberach.
Mishaberach avotenu v'kol habracha imotenu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu v'kol habracha avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Schopenhauer, the 19th century German philosopher, once asked what porcupines do in the winter. Because if they get too close to each other, they hurt each other. But if they stay too far apart, they freeze. It's a delicate balance between getting close and keeping a distance. It's challenging to get right and dangerous to get wrong. The same is true for human beings. This week in the Torah, Joseph's brothers are back in Egypt, standing before Joseph, although they don't yet know that it's actually Joseph. And they're there answering for Benjamin's alleged theft of a silver cup Joseph planted in one of their bags. The name of the Torah portion is Vaigash, which literally means, and he came close, because it begins with Judah coming close to Joseph and pleading with him to show Benjamin mercy. It might be the first time in his entire life that Judah actually comes close to his brother Joseph. It's ironic, of course, that he didn't know it was Joseph at the time. Regardless, the simple act of Judah coming close to him changes Joseph. It softened him and his defenses. And he then, almost immediately after, reveals his identity, his true identity, to his brothers. Now let's compare this interaction to the interaction that Joseph and his brothers have a few Torah portions ago, way back at the beginning of the story. Joseph's father sends him out to see how his brothers are doing with the sheep. And as the Torah puts it, they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. Imagine the scene for a minute. They can't see his face. All they can see is his dazzling coat of many colors, which infuriates them because it's this constant reminder that their father favors Joseph, that he is the favorite. From far away, it's so often we don't see people as human beings. We see them as objects, often objects of our jealousy or our hate or our envy or our prejudice. The tragedy of Joseph and his brothers was a tragedy of distance. They were too far apart in almost every possible way. That's why when Judah came close to Joseph, when Vayigash, he came close to him, they became brothers, perhaps for the first time, rather than strangers. Too distant, and we freeze. Too close, and we hurt one another. Consider another set of brothers, Jacob and Esau. Jacob buys his brother's birthright. He steals his blessing. He wears his clothes. He impersonates him. Even at birth, Jacob is clinging to Esau's heel. It took 2 decades apart, away from each other, for the relationship to heal. And when they finally do meet again, despite Jacob's fears, Esau hugs him, kisses him, and finally treats him like a brother and a friend. Too close, and we hurt one another. Too distant, and we freeze. One of my favorite rituals is Havdalah, the ceremony that marks the end of Shabbat. The Havdalah candle is a special candle that has multiple wicks woven together. The wicks are separate, but the flame they make is joined. It's the same with us, really. Husbands and wives, parents and children, and yes, brothers and sisters. Distance can damage a relationship, but Vayigash, drawing close, can restore it. Shabbat Shalom. Just a few brief announcements as we begin to conclude our service this evening. Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, make the most of this weekend. Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, you can join Rabbi Susan Nannis, Rabbi Leader, Cantor Peacock for an amazing special Havdalah and an evening with Rabbi Josh Plout, who's the author of a fantastic book that I've read called A Kosher Christmas, the first book ever written about this sort of intersection and collision of Jews and Christmas in America. They'll talk about the December dilemma, as it's often called, and how Jews have found a way to participate in Christmas in our own way, and why we eat Chinese food on Christmas and go to the movies when there's not a pandemic on. So be sure to tune in tomorrow night at 7 o'clock for that. A special thank you to Cantor Gurney. A special thank you to all the folks behind the scenes who you don't see, who help make everything we do online happen. You most likely don't know their faces, but you wouldn't see ours without them. So thank you to Jess and Tess and Don and his whole team for making us all look so great. If you don't follow us on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, please, please, please do. It's the best way to stay up to date on everything we're doing and everything we're producing to keep folks engaged. And last but not least, if you're with us tonight and you're not a member of Wilshire Boulevard Temple, but you've been enjoying what we're doing online this past year, consider joining us. Consider becoming a member of the temple and supporting us in all that we do. So Shabbat Shalom. And with that, we'll turn our thoughts now to sacred moments of memory, to moments of Kaddish, as we think of loved ones, family members, and members of our community who are no longer with us. We begin by thinking of those for whom we're in a period of shloshim, those who have died during these past 30 days, as we call to mind Leah Barshap, Joanne Burton, Holly Brock Cohen, Lawrence Dubinsky, Margaret Epstein, Alice Feldman, Harvey Foreman, Lee Galfon, Lester Korn, Lorraine Michaels, Peter Mayerson, Solomon Neiman, Spencer Pritikin, Maury Rucker, Benito Valner, Estelle Wax, Jack Winberg, and Werner Wolfen. We add to their names the names of those whose yahrzeits occurred in the past week: Abram Adler, Bella Adler, Don Adlin, Albert Allen, Chaim Atzmon, Alexander Braun, Katarina Braun, Betty Brody, Louise Brownell, Emmanuel Burton, Mark Kane, Conrado Cardenas, Rona Crona, Bobby Clare, Benjamin Codd, Robert Cohen, George Cooper, Ann Cutrow, Morris Danziger, Arnold Dauber, Penrose Desser, Sherry DeVries, Irene Dunner, Henry Epstein, Robert Farkas, Adele Feinstein, Eve Feinberg, Vivian Fern, Bernice Fisher, Celia Fisher, Marion Fishman, Elizabeth Flesh, Philip Foreman, David Foster, Flora Fox, Rudolph Fox, Alan Frank, Betty Frankel, Rose Steinberg Frankel, Ben Freeman, Nejtola Gosian, Guilford Glazer, Phyllis Goldklang, Mary Gordon, Henrietta Gorlick, Joel Greenberg, Helene Hansen, Daryl Hirsch, Betty Eisen, Esther Kessler, George Kutal, Lenore Kramer, Burton Kurtzman, Shirley Lackman, Aaron Lask, Rosara Liebsen, Charles Levison, Max Levine, Herman Levitt, William Lewis, Jack Lipson, Edgar Marks, Fritz Mayer, Nathan Marin, Ruth Marin, Stanley Mayer, Rose Morar, Don Nathanson, Samuel Newman, Alan Novak, Lillian Opper, George Pine Ness, Hazel Quick, Boris Ratner, Lee Reinman, John Riskin, Robert Robbins, Maya Rofi, Edith Rosenbaum, Gertrude Rose, Eleanor Rubin, George Schuckman, Bella Schwartz, Susan Schwarz, Leonard Schaefer, Nathan Smook, Alexander Snookal, Marion Steinberg, Susan Turk, Lisa Walder, Benjamin Ward, Ava Weissenberg, Rosalie Waldenberg, David Wolf, Joshua Young, Murray Zachary, and Joel Zucker. We also call to mind those to whom we are grateful but do not know, those who have fallen defending the flags of the United States of America, the State of Israel, the innocent victims of senseless terrorism and violence all over the world, and everyone who has no one to say Kaddish for them. Zichronam livracha, may their memories always be for a blessing. We join together in the words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach chilutei ve'yamlich malchutei, v'chaye echon v'yom echon, v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru, Amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dikudsha berichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'alma ve'imru. Amen. Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen.
And now let's join in our fabulous rendition of Oseh Shalom. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. ואמרו amen.
Shabbat shalom, Don.
Shalom.
What's for Shabbat dinner in your house? Are you doing egg rolls and Chinese food?
I think we are definitely going Chinese tonight. It's an ancient tradition, as you know, especially in a city like growing up in Cleveland, Ohio. It was the only restaurant open in the city of Cleveland on, Christmas Eve.
I'm guessing when you were growing up, there was no sushi bar in Cleveland.
I did not encounter sushi until I moved to New York. I'm not kidding. In 1980.
It's true.
That is the truth.
It's true. Well, I think we'll all be enjoying a little egg rolls and maybe a little dim sum and then some, as they say.
That's exactly
this weekend. So Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom. Enjoy.